kettlebell that's way too heavy for them to do cleans. Their friend told them to get this weight because they were strong in the gym, and when they got this kettlebell, they couldn't do cleans. It was incredibly hard for them. First thing you want to do is make sure you don't have a watch. First one is we're going to do a short lever swing, okay? Instead of out really far, okay, what we're going to do is keeping the bell closer to the body, all right? So the elbows can stay tighter towards the body. All right, so this is a 24. They said they got a 26, but I'm used to using a lot heavier weights. So the demonstration purposes. Now the second one would be a kettlebell sport style swing, okay? So a kettlebell sport style, what we're gonna do is it's a little bit more up. We bring it down into quads, almost like you're jumping on a diving board, letting that, notice the bell is staying closer to my body. Now, that's the most important part of this. If you have a kettlebell, the farther that weight is out from your body, the heavier it's going to feel, especially when it's coming down, okay? Because a lot of times people start bending at the hip when the kettlebell is way out here versus leaning back and counterbalancing that weight. Okay, so the next one we can use is a high pull. So the high pull, I'm going to do the kettlebell sport style as well. I'm going to keep it going up. So I'm actually pulling the weight, starting with the hips and quads, pulling. Notice, so I'm pulling that weight. Normally on my swings, I'm kind of, you can see it floating. Now this one, I'm pulling. Pulling, we're getting that weight much higher, okay? So it's not a high pull like in Olympic lifting. We're using our body to get that started. So there's two ways to do dead cleans, okay? So the first one of the two, we're gonna start back. I'm gonna put my hand that I'm cleaning to right here in the handle. I'm gonna put my other hand across it. Now I'm gonna start back. I'm gonna stand up, bring that weight down. Right back to where the heels are. See that? So the next one we can do is more of a hike two-handed clean. We start out in front of us, hike back, bring it up, set it back down. When we go to the other side, okay, so now, the biggest thing about that is you can do overloading stuff. We already got too much heavier weight, so what we're gonna do is people overload their arms when they're doing cleans and snatches from above. When they're not ready, they pick a weight that's way too heavy and they're dropping it and their timing is usually not right. The heavier the weight they're gonna be, the heavier the weight there is, the more important your timing has to be, okay? Because it's gonna yank you. With kettlebells, there's that arc that's going away from you and up. With the bar, the Olympic bar, we're trying to go as vertical as we can. It's pretty different, okay? So if we miss that line, be like if you do an Olympic snatch and you got the weight too far behind you, okay? You're not gonna recover from that. You might as well get out of the way. Okay, so what you could do is, let's say that we worked our way up to doing a kettlebell clean, okay? Now, let's take two hands and get it down, okay? You start on the way up, because that's bringing, we got it. Two hands on the way down, I'll show you why. Especially if that clean is very heavy for you. So, On the way up, we are using a straight arm. So the arm is the rope, okay? So that rope is being pulled by the shoulder. The torso is pulling the shoulder. The legs are pushing the torso up. So the arm, we're actually, her legs are doing that motion. Okay? That's why. So our legs are doing that motion. Got it? So, on the way down, though, with the clean, we're going to drop and catch. So what happens is in reverse now. As we drop the weight down, the first thing to load is going to be the muscles above the elbow. For most people, bicep brachialis and triceps to lock, but it's in reverse. So we're going to get a lot of overloading of small muscles here. Here's where a lot of people start getting tendonitis issues when they're doing a lot of heavier cleans or high volume. They're not focusing on that deceleration. The deceleration really has to happen in the hips and knees, okay? So two hands, I got this bell up here. I'm gonna take it down, I'm gonna absorb. So as soon as the arm extends, the knees and hips absorb that weight. So it's not getting slowed down by this area. Does that make sense? Because on the way up, it's like I'm jumping. Here's where people get messed up doing box jumps and super high repetition stuff. If they're doing possibly in CrossFit or something, they jump up, okay? So they start and then they jump up, and then the calves are the last that gives it that turbo, that boost. Now, when they're here and they jump down, the first point of contact is the calves. So the calves, and a lot of times they don't absorb into the knees and the hips. So they jump, but then they just kind of use their calves on the way down. And they get a lot of Achilles issues. A lot of stuff back there because they're not absorbing into their legs enough. They're just using that ankle and the muscles that control the ankle. So anyway, similar here for the clean. I'll show you again. Here, I'm going to absorb. Now I can use two hands if that becomes, and then I do reps of singles on the way up, and then two on the way down to absorb. Because that displaces the load into both arms, same load on the body. So what you're doing when you're first getting into this, in snatch you can do the same thing. This is what half snatch is so awesome. So you do snatch, up, instead of dropping it from here, when you do half snatch, you're dropping it from here. So, that can save your hands, that can save all sorts of grip, elbow joint issues, wrist issues, finger stuff, by lessening the impact of the weight. The weight's going to be the same, but how much are you going to let 26 kilos or whatever, how much are you going to let that weight transfer into you, okay, without absorbing it? So are we going to let that weight yank us, or are we going to absorb that weight with all the tools and all the parts of our body that we can?